Welcome to Meet the STEM Professional, the podcast where we explore the journeys, challenges and triumphs of experts across science, technology, engineering and mathematics. I'm Sophie, and in each episode we sit down with a STEM professional to uncover their experiences, insights and advice for aspiring minds. Let's dive in. Today we're here at 820 Spirits, talking to Tom, the head distiller. Hi Tom.
Hello.
And welcome to Meet the STEM Professional. Can you introduce yourself and your current job title and role?
So I am founder of 820 Spirits and head distiller, where we make gin, rum, vodka, and lots of other fun things.
Fantastic. Could you describe what your role involves on a day-to-day basis?
Day to day, it's between running stills, producing new MPDs, so new product development, and then we also do gin schools and rum schools. So it's having people come in, learn about the industry and learn about what we do and make their own.
Awesome. So we're going to get into your education background and how that kind of led to you becoming a distiller. So did you study any STEM subjects at school, and why did you choose those subjects?
So I studied chemistry, maths and physics, and AS biology. So I did all of them. That led me into doing chemical engineering at uni, which then led me into the industry of distilling. So with that sort of, it did mean that I had the background knowledge to go in the direction I wanted to.
And why did you choose chemical engineering?
Originally, it was something that was interesting to look at, but also quite a good wage, in all honesty.
Yeah.
That was the oil and gas side. The alcohol side can be good wage, can be not be a good wage, depends.
And how do you think your university education helped you with your career now?
It helped a lot with what I did. It helped me get my first job within distilleries, and then also off the back of that, a lot of the stuff I did at that job in the distillery was developing new processes for the production of non-alcs and other things alongside that, and then we still use it day to day here, really.
And did you go on to do any kind of further education after university, or were there any valuable courses that you did?
So I've done full master's degree at uni. Further than that, I've done a few different distilling degrees and bits and pieces.
Fantastic. What kind of drew you into distilling in the first place?
So originally, while I was studying for chemical engineering, which is more aimed at oil and gas, I decided that wasn't quite the way I wanted to go with it. And sort of second year uni got slightly sidetracked in revising and was looking into more of the distilling world, and did some hands-on knowledge of learning how to make a still instead, and then started making moonshine and gin for a bit of fun, and then tailored the degree towards that.
Cool. So do you have any memorable experiences with science or mathematics at school that's kind of influenced your career path?
From science perspective, I think always like the labs and things like that stick out.
Yeah.
Quite like the hands-on side of it all in terms of getting involved with those labs and actually seeing what happens with the different reactions and how it works. And
so hands-on, practical application. So, as you've said, you kind of got into looking at distilling in your second year of university. Was there any kind of passion towards looking at that career, or was it a good time?
Well, within industry, between 2012 till now, there's been sort of the boom in the UK of that craft distilling side. That definitely sort of influenced it a little bit in the fact that it was sort of 2015, 2016 at the time. right when sort of lots of different little distilleries are popping up. So it's quite interesting to look at that all. And obviously, the uni, you've obviously got a small amount of drinking that goes on as well, which obviously is a small amount of sort of, I worked in hospitality, seeing that passion of the hospitality, the cocktail making, and then sort of seeing where those cocktails came from, the gins, and what made them.
Fantastic. So is there a particular moment or experience that solidified your career choice and going towards distilling?
Probably second year summer, making a still out of some stainless steel paint pots, some copper piping. My parents were on holiday, and then kind of fell in love with the idea of it at that point, and was
Now
like,
you've got your own
yeah,
stills and
well, I like the idea of sort of building my own brand and my own distillery. But obviously, to start that, needed to get more knowledge in the industry, so it was then getting that before
how
doing
did you
this.
go about kind of building a business in the distilling world?
So it's a very populated world at the moment. There's a lot of different brands out there, so you've got to have something to recognise yourselves behind. So it's what creates the brand in terms of what the flavours are. At the end of the day, the best thing for you is getting repeat customers. So obviously you can grab people in and get them to try it the first time, but it's getting them to have it a second time, which means it's got to taste good. So half of their battle is making sure that you have got a good product that people want to come back and buy more of. And that always
how
helps.
have you kind of marketed yourself to be able to produce your ongoing customers? And
So big mix of different things, really. Obviously, within the distillery, we do gin schools and rum schools where people come in and learn to make their own and things, and they get a bit more appreciation of what goes into the craft of it, how it works, and learn about the science behind it as well, so they understand a bit more about what goes into it, what actually creates those flavours, how they occur, and how that balance comes into it all. And that sort of helps to bring people back, seemingly.
fabulous. Have you got a lot of repeat customers then?
A few, yeah. Good number.
Good. So how does STEM play a role in your day-to-day life?
Day to day, again, it varies. Recently, we've just got a new still in, so that's designing process flow of where that still is going to sit in the distillery, how the pipe work's all going to sit around it, because we've got to design all that. And then also we've got new brewing kit that we've just had turn up, so that was working out. The heat exchanger that was going on that, what size heat exchanger we needed, so we weren't oversizing it or undersizing it, so it's doing what it needs to do. It's not costing more than it needed to. So we're not losing money out by spending too much money. And similar with our original still, it was designing it from scratch and getting it built up from what we wanted and getting everything with it.
I mean, from what I can see where I'm sat, it looks a bit like a science lab. And you've got science equipment, I would say, over there.
It is a little bit.
With your distillate spinning around.
Yeah, no, we've got a rotovap sat in the corner, which is a vacuum still, so it's doing a low pressure distillation. But it's all glassware. It is what you'd see in the science lab. It's what you'd see in
and the
testing
gin
labs.
school is absolutely fantastic, and people can come in and do their own kind of science experiment, can't they?
Yeah, it's
create their own flavors.
Yeah,
which is brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's sort of learning your own.
And then you're using maths, I guess, to make sure that the percentages are correct.
So when we're doing the ABVs on the alcohol, obviously you've got to check that the ABV is correct to what you're saying, so the percentage alcohol. And if it's slightly over when you're blending it up or things like that, you've got to work out how much you've got to do to do it down. And you want consistency throughout recipes, so it's making sure if you're scaling up from 100 bottles to 1,000 bottles, that you're scaling up that recipe correctly, it's going to work out correctly, and it's not going to cause any issues.
Sounds like a headache.
Can be.
So how did STEM and studying STEM prepare you for this career?
Well, so within just school-wise, that sort of base knowledge of chemistry, maths, and biology comes into it a lot realistically. Sort of when I was at uni, I tailored the degree into biochemical engineering. So I was looking at bioreactors, which was to do with the yeast and the brewing side of stuff. And all of the knowledge that I learned at even GCSE and A-level then came into that knowledge of just knowing how enzymes work, what happens within the reactions, and how that affects what's going on in the brewing.
Very cool. Are there any specific skills that you think you learnt through your school and university in your STEM subjects that have helped you prepare?
Yeah, definitely within like even just as I said with like working out the heat exchanger, that's all through heat exchanger equations that you learn during chemical
Yeah.
engineering, which all stem from stuff you do learn within maths and chemistry, because it's how the heat exchanges from the water to the liquid you're trying to heat, what the surface area is on that, and how it all affects that as well.
Very technical. So what has motivated you and what do you enjoy most about your line of work?
Really enjoy it's the sort of the customer side of it. Realistically, obviously the distilling world is really good fun. It's you get to do a lot in terms of within industry. You meet a lot of people within the industry, both sort of bar side or from other distilleries. And it's a really amazing culture within the industry that everyone gets on really nicely. And you do still have that base of knowledge that you still use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's like not you've wasted doing that, you're actually still using it in terms of what it is.
That's really cool. So what encouragement would you give students who would consider a career in distilling?
I think it's well worth getting that background knowledge. Most people that don't have that background knowledge and try and go into the world end up taking generic courses to get that background knowledge.
And as a side part of that, as a business owner, would you encourage people to be entrepreneurs and to run their own businesses?
Yeah, definitely would. And again, I think from the perspective of maths and science, you gain a very good analytical mindset, which really helps within building that business and making sure what you're doing is actually efficient and cost effective, and it's going to work out.
That's awesome. We've been talking a lot about analysis, and it's come up in every interview so far that is the key skill that comes out of STEM. So what advice would you give someone who is looking to go into distilling or business owning?
Um, the key skill.
Key skill.
Well, again, that analytical mindset really helps within businesses just generally, in terms of trying to build anything and working out where it's going wrong or what's not working within your company, even from just employees or from the actual process that you're doing. Being able to analyze it and work out what's not quite working, really, really valuable.
Yeah. And would you encourage people to go into STEM subjects, and why would you say that that was a good pathway?
Yeah, I think it is a really good pathway. Again, it encourages that sort of mindset of working out problems, working out what is causing the issue in the first place, not trying to just patch an issue.
Yeah.
You see in a lot of different companies, quite often they will try and patch issues rather than solve it from the core. Whereas with that background knowledge, you kind of look at it and work out what the core problem is.
Fabulous. So what do you think is the key part of your work that impacts society and the world?
We've obviously got a very big side of it in terms of people enjoying the industry, and the hospitality side. I think a large core factor is that it does bring people together. It brings people into having a good time. It's not solely what happens there, but obviously it does help within bringing people into the same place, and giving them something to meet up around.
And you're pushing boundaries with new flavors.
Always
pushing boundaries with new flavors. So kind of final thoughts. Have you got any kind of final words of encouragement for aspiring STEM professionals?
I think again, it's just really valuable to have that background knowledge. It really helps to build business or anything else in terms of what it is. So if you're aspiring to look into that industry or any industry realistically, that STEM background really helps.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much, Tom, for your valuable time and advice.
Good.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Meet the STEM Professional. We hope you found inspirational and valuable insights from our guests today. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.